Restoring men and history. What kind of men do we want to forge in this society? Let's take a look at Scent of a Woman, just the speech part. We'll do the film later. We've got some great characters, and this is a phenomenal speech for boys and men to learn from. Lieutenant Colonel Slade gives this speech to the school. The entire school is watching. Charlie Sims, they're doing a hearing for him. Headmaster Trask, and then there's some people in the crowd. So the entire auditorium, this is a hearing for Charlie Sims. What can we learn from it between this exchange between Trask and Slade? And Slade's giving it to the whole school. All the kids are in there, all the boys. So you've got Trask, this elite establishment man who's looking out for himself, and then Lieutenant Colonel Slade, and then Charlie Sims. And this is elite school for boys, and this is where we're at. Headmaster Trask, Mr. Sims, you are a cover-up artist and you are a liar. Now here's the establishment guy looking out for himself instead of training and developing boys into men, right? Lieutenant Colonel Slade, but not a snitch. Excuse me? No, I don't think I will. Mr. Slade, this is such a crock of crap, Slade says. Please watch your language, Mr. Slade. You're in the Baird School, not a barracks. Mr. Sims, I will give you one final opportunity to speak up. Now watch divert from the real issue of language and talk about language instead of the real issue. Lieutenant Colonel Slade. Mr. Sims doesn't want. He doesn't need to be labeled still worthy of a Baird man. What the heck is that? What is your motto here? Boys, inform on your classmates, save your hide. Anything short of that, we're going to burn you at the stake. Now notice the way he says, still worthy of being a Baird man. It says it all about what he thinks of this prestigious boys' elite school for these boys and what they're doing to them. He says it all in his tone of voice and performance. So what does an institution do today, and what are these institutions we have if they're injecting all the wrong values into people and they're going against their purpose and their motto? What does that mean? What does that do to society? What does that do to boys and girls and men? Boys, inform on your classmates, save your hide. What does that teach? Now that's enormous, because that is teaching boys to put themselves first, take care of themselves at the expense of others. Inform on your classmates, save your hide. What that's teaching is take care of yourself, I say again. Don't worry about whom you're harming. Don't worry about what it costs someone else. Just take care of yourself. Just take care of yourself. That could transfer to friendship, marriage, everything. Don't worry about how you're getting there, how you're doing it. Don't worry about whom you're hurting on the way. Just get there. As long as you get the position, the title, degree, or whatever you're looking for, or whatever you want, it's okay. Doesn't matter how you get there. That's what they're teaching here at Baird. That's what he's saying. And how many schools or institutions of learning are not just teaching this, but even more foolishness than this? What is Hollywood teaching? Not in this speech here, where they do a fantastic job, but elsewhere today. What are they teaching? Boys act like girls, girls act like boys, reverse the sex roles. Boys can be girls. Masculinity is bad, boys are bad. It goes on now. Well, gentlemen, when the crap hits the fan, some guys run and some guys stick. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket. And what are you doing? You're going to reward George and destroy Charlie. And remember what boys are taught today from institutions, from movies, from culture, from schools. Transfers later to Wall Street, to Washington, D.C., into positions of power. And you've seen it, right? Too big to fail? What was caused? Or was it too corrupt to fail? Okay. So Wall Street and big government, the people that are taught in schools, and if we don't make men, those later go on to positions. Too many people seem to be taking care of themselves in positions of power, right? and not concerned about their position, their country, and what they were sent there to do and whom they were sent there to serve, right? It doesn't seem like they reflect upon that. And it comes from what? Teaching virtue. Teaching something beside yourself, higher cause, higher purpose. That's what you will get in government, in your state governments, your local governments, your Washington governments. If you teach the wrong values and virtues, that's what you'll end up with. Headmaster Trask, are you finished, Mr. Slade? No, I'm just getting warmed up. I don't know who went to this place. William Howard Taft, William Jennings Bryan, William Tell, whomever, their spirit is dead. If they ever had one, it's gone. You're building a rat ship here, a vessel for seagoing snitches. And if you think you're preparing these minnows for manhood, and he does it so well, and if you think you're preparing these minnows for manhood, you better think again. Because I say you're killing the very spirit this institution proclaims it instills. What a sham. What kind of show are you guys putting on here today? I mean, the only class in this act is sitting next to me. And I'm here to tell you, this boy's soul is intact. It's non-negotiable. You know how I know? Someone here, and I'm not going to say who, offered to buy it. And Charlie wasn't selling. So think about that lesson. You're supposed to be serving. If you're in leadership, you're not supposed to be selling out your troops or selling out the people you work with or selling out the people you're leading, right? You're not supposed to be selling out your country just to advance yourself. And how many do that? How many sell out their country or something for just a material asset or a position or a title? Or just to remain in power forever. They want to hold on to power. So they'll do anything to hold on to power. Politicians, are they making decisions based on what serves you or what serves themselves? What they promised around on or what serves themselves? Not all, but I'm talking about some. And I'm asking a question. Do they serve themselves or you, most of them, or some of them? Whatever the case may be, what percentage it is. Trask wants to keep his position, right? So he's taking a side. George's dad is behind Trask. Who's behind the politicians? Somebody else, right? So the politicians have masters. Trask has a master. Some people leave their congressional seat and suddenly end up in a big position of power after doing something right. So anyway, that's what we're developing. We're going to develop people that what? We'll get on down to it. Sir, you're out of order. Out of order. I'll show you out of order. You don't know what out of order is, Mr. Trask. I'd show you, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm too blind. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place. It's a great line, right? It's great, right? Out of order. Who the heck do you think you're talking to? I've been around, you know. There was a time I could see, and I've seen boys like these, younger than these, their arms torn out, their legs ripped off, but there isn't nothing like the sight of an amputated spirit. There's no prosthetic for that. So how many schools and institutions are killing the spirit of boys, spirit of girls too, right? How many are we confusing? How many institutions and schools, how many narratives are going around that are encouraging to go against human nature, against truth, and just absolutely confusing young boys and young girls? Confusion, not good. Boys need direction, not confusion. Destroying boys so they will never become men. Why would they do that? What do you think? You think you're merely sending this splendid foot soldier back home to Oregon with his tail between his legs, but I say you're executing his soul. And why? Because he's not a Baird man. That's right. What kind of boys are the Baird establishments or other establishments building? What kind of boys is the society building? Baird men, you hurt this boy, you're going to be Baird bums. A lot of you. And Harry, Jimmy, and Trent. Wherever you are out there, screw you too. Headmaster Trask, stand down, Mr. Slade. I'm not finished. As I came in here, I heard these words, cradle of leadership. Well, when the bow breaks, the cradle will fall. And it has fallen here. It has fallen. Makers of men, creators of leaders. Be careful what kind of leaders you're producing here. I don't know if Charlie's silence here today is right or wrong. Well, we will stop here and say it's not just leaders, but what kind of strong men are we making? What kind of men are we making? This could be said about society, right? What kind of men are you going to produce when you confuse boys, when you confuse girls, when you encourage them to go against their nature instead of following their nature? When you tell them that masculinity is toxic, what kind of boys are you going to develop and create? When you encourage them that they can be something they can never be, that's all foolishness. Boys need to be made into men. When institutions believe in this nonsense and then exalt the foolishness, it's even worse. When they give them attention for doing foolish things, thinking they can be something they're not. Culture, movies, TV, books, instead of teaching them to rescue the girl, they teach them that maybe they can be the girl, which is impossible, right? That's confusion, not direction. That's not building strong men for society. Instead of telling them to stand by their friend, you tell them it's all about you or about your feelings. Or worse, you tell them men are terrible, men are bad. Or maybe you can become a girl because boys are awful, and maybe you really are a girl. And we will exalt you for it and give you extra attention. You want to see a bad society? Take the men out of it. Confuse boys so they never become men. Produce boys that don't know what a man looks like or is. Easier to control a society with no men in it, right? Men willing to sacrifice themselves for their wives, or their wife, or their girlfriend, or the woman they love, or their friend. He goes on, I'm not a judge or jury, but I can tell you this, and this is fantastic. He won't sell anybody out to buy his future. Now, there you are. That's the huge point. We don't want boys that'll sell people out for their own benefit. That's the kind of friend you want, right? You want a friend like Charlie, not George, right? George will sell you out. Charlie won't. He'll stick. He'll stand. George will make a great yes man at a corporation when the corporation's trying to do something they know they shouldn't be doing, right? Instead of standing up at that corporation saying you shouldn't do this, or standing up in the halls of Washington saying you shouldn't do this, George will let it go on as long as he can rise. Charlie will stop it. And that's the difference. You can put time into that kind of friend like Charlie. You want to stay away from the Georges. And sometimes today, many men are transactional and they don't value true friendship. So if they don't need something from you in that minute, they're not there. So you don't need that kind of friend. You need a friend of virtue. And you don't want some weak man around that you can't trust, or that you think might sell you out at the first opportunity or sign of trouble. That's the point, right? That's in this speech. Be careful, Hugh. Hang around. All right, so he won't sell out anybody to buy his future. George will. That's a juxtaposition, right? And he goes on. And that, my friends, and here's a major point. This is phenomenal. Really great stuff, gentlemen. And that, my friends, is called what? Integrity. That's called courage. That's the stuff leaders should be made of, right? And that's what strong men should be made of too, right? That's right. He is not sacrificing others for himself. He's standing. Charlie has courage. No matter what the cost to himself, he's standing, he's sticking. And that's integrity and courage, he's saying. He goes on. Now, I have come to the crossroads in my life. I always knew what the right path was. Without exception, I knew, but I never took it. You know why? It was too darn hard. Now here's Charlie. He's come to the crossroads. He has chosen a path. It's the right path. It's a path made of principle. And that leads to what? Character. Let him continue on his journey. So making hard decisions does lead to character, right? Maybe it's not popular. Maybe it goes against the narrative. Maybe it goes against the messaging. Maybe it goes what seems like the majority wants, but isn't really. Just no one is saying it. And you got to be the first guy to say it. You stick to it, you stand. But you know what's right. By the way, telling people the truth and standing for the truth is one thing that stops mass psychosis. But anyway, let's go on. You hold this boy's future in your hands, committee. It's a valuable future. Believe me, don't destroy it. Protect it. Embrace it. It's going to make you proud one day, I promise you. And this is what society should do, right? We should be protecting boys, developing, forging them into men, protecting young girls. Is this society trying to protect boys? It holds the future of boys in its hands, this society, these institutions. Should we try to forge boys into men or destroy them? Of course, we should try to forge them into men. Confuse them? No. Now, these institutions that push this nonsense on boys and men, are they going to be proud? They should not be, but it seems to be their goal, so they may be full of pride. But it has to be done in the homes. It has to be done with friends. It has to be in groups of men. We can't count on these large institutions to do it. Mentoring one-to-one. Now look, Slade is kind of a mentor to Charlie in this story, and we'll do the story another time, but Charlie is going to learn more from Slade than Headmaster Trask, where he's supposed to be learning. That's what we have to do, right? While your mind may say, well, they're supposed to learn it all in the school, we can't depend upon the schools to teach virtues. That has to be done in the home and by us. We have to develop men. We can't count on the schools and institutions developing men. We need to decide what kind of men we want. Do we want men that are going to protect the love of their life and be willing to die for that? Their wife? Do we want men that are willing to be servants and serve and be great leaders that are servant leaders? Do we want men that will make good decisions for the people under them too, not just themselves? Think of their friends, not just themselves. Think of the men they lead, not themselves, and the women they lead, not just themselves. So how can your children, your boys, reach their potential in life? Reach excellence. Let's strive for excellence, not foolishness. Stand up for boys and men. Protect them. Strong men we need. By the way, in the story, Colonel Slade's blind. But he sees the truth better than the rest. And he's a great mentor. Strong men, we need them. Women need them. Families need them. The country needs them. The world needs them. Forging better, stronger men for better lives and the Republic. Thank you. If you think it's important to build better, stronger men for society, we would truly appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button right now and help us build better, stronger men.